Europe wants Canadian energy, Prime Minister won't sell. In a recent media interview in Europe, the Prime Minister suggested that Europe is not interested in Canadian oil and liquefied natural gas. That assertion does not withstand even basic scrutiny. The facts are clear, the market is real, and the opportunity is measurable. What is missing is not demand, it is Canadian execution. Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Europe has fundamentally restructured its energy system. Russian gas imports collapsed by roughly 150 billion cubic meters, BCM, per year. That shortfall did not disappear. It was replaced. Europe increased its LNG imports to approximately 120 to 150 billion cubic meters annually. Today, LNG accounts for roughly 35 to 40% of European gas supply. The continent still consumes about 400 to 500 billion cubic meters of gas each year and imports more than half of its total energy needs. This is not a marginal market. It is one of the largest energy markets in the world, and it is actively seeking stable, politically reliable suppliers. European utilities are signing long-term contracts again, often for 15 to 25 years, because security of supply now matters as much as price. Companies such as Uniper, RWE, and TotalEnergies are not negotiating these agreements out of curiosity. They are doing so out of necessity. Canada, meanwhile, produces approximately 17 to 18 billion cubic feet of natural gas per day and nearly 5 million barrels of oil per day. Yet we export roughly 97% of our oil to a single customer, the United States. We have built a system that leaves us price takers in a continental market while global prices are set elsewhere. The result is a persistent discount on Canadian crude, often in the range of $10 to $20 per barrel. The economic implications of accessing European markets are straightforward. A single Atlantic LNG facility with a capacity of 10 to 15 million tons per year could generate between $4 and $7 billion in annual revenue. That is from one project. On the oil side, the ability to move 500,000 to 1 million barrels per day to Tidewater could generate between $13 and $30 billion annually, depending on price. The uplift from closing the pricing gap alone could add billions more. These are bankable numbers. The constraint is infrastructure. Canada does not currently have the pipeline capacity to move Western oil and gas to the Atlantic coast at scale. Nor do we have LNG export terminals on the East Coast. Building that capability would require approximately $30 to $45 billion in capital investment across pipelines, liquefaction facilities, and marine infrastructure. It would take 5 to 7 years to complete if approvals are efficient and timelines are respected. Critics will point to cost. They should also consider return. At prevailing global LNG prices of $8 to $12 per MMBTU, such a project can generate $2 to $4 billion in annual EBITDA with a payback period of roughly 10 to 15 years. That is not speculative. That is how global LNG projects are financed every day. Canada has a window, not a permanent entitlement. If we build within this decade, we secure long-term contracts and strategic relevance. If we delay, the market will be filled by others, and others are moving. The United States is already the dominant LNG supplier to Europe and is expanding capacity beyond 100 million tons per year. Qatar is scaling aggressively with some of the lowest production costs in the world. Norway remains a geographically advantaged supplier. None of these countries are debating whether there is a market. They are competing to supply it. There is also a broader strategic dimension. Energy exports are not simply commercial transactions. They are instruments of statecraft. Europe is looking for reliable partners within the OECD. Canada is precisely that. Supplying energy to European allies strengthens transatlantic ties, supports economic resilience, and reinforces Canada's role as a serious country capable of executing large projects. The Business Council of Canada has already identified this as a rare alignment of economic and geopolitical interests. It is difficult to disagree. The choice before Canada is not whether a market exists. It does. The choice is whether we are prepared to build the infrastructure required to access it. If we do, the outcome is clear. Tens of billions in annual exports, thousands of jobs, stronger public finances, and a meaningful role in global energy security. If we do not, the outcome is equally clear. We remain dependent on a single market, continue to accept discounted pricing, and watch others capture an opportunity that was well within our reach. This is not a question of resources. It is a question of resolve.